Welcome everyone to today's session. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our first meeting of 2021. When I was planning this meeting, I was very optimistic that things would be lots better now in terms of the pandemic and all the restrictions, but unfortunately we seem to be going backwards. So thank you for all taking the time. I know everyone's really busy. So I'll quickly introduce myself. There's quite a few people on here that I've not met before, and we opened this out beyond the sport social enterprise members, so it's really great that there's been so much interest. So I'm Jude and I support the Sport Social Enterprise Network at SEN Scott. SEN Scott are an intermediary organisation, so we receive funding from Scottish Government to support social enterprises. And my role specifically is to work with sport social enterprises, well, sport and physical activity, exercise, etc. It's not just sport. And we also work with organisations who are aspiring to become social enterprises. So if it's, for those of you that weren't familiar with SEN Scott before, do feel free to get in touch with me after this for more information about who we are and whether it would be relevant for you to join any of our networks. So I'll quickly skip through the Zoom housekeeping. I'm sure most of us are familiar with this now, but if you can stay on mute, if you're not speaking, that would be really good, just to help minimise any background noise. If you would like to speak, if you can raise your hand, your real hand or your virtual hand, if you know how to do that. Myself and my lovely colleague Mary are on the call today, so we'll both watch out for anybody that's trying to get our attention. Feel free to use the chat function if you want to add any comments or ask any questions. We're not going to have time to do round the Zoom room introductions today, but if you did want to say who you are and where you're from, then please do. Sometimes it's good to connect that way. And finally, we are recording this session so that we can share it afterwards, but if anybody would prefer that the session isn't shared, then please do just let me know afterwards. So just in terms of the format for today, we're delighted to have 5 speakers with us that are going to talk about some of the fab work that they are doing, and also some of the support that can be available to help make sport and physical activity opportunities more available for people with disabilities. So we're going to hear from Neil Connolly from the advisory group, Stephen Sutton from West Quarter and Reading Cricket Club, who are a social enterprise and a member of the Sports SEN, Barry McGeechy from Cricket Scotland, Andrew Mackenzie from Scottish Disability Sport, and Nancy Peters from Glasgow Disability Sport, who are one of the regional branches of SDS. So after each speaker, if you do have any immediate questions, then feel free to ask. But once all the speakers have finished, we'll have time for wider Q&A and discussion at the end. It would be really great to hear from the rest of you about what you're currently doing, maybe any plans that you have for the future, and also particularly if there is any support that you might appreciate. So I guess we'll just get started then. So I'll pass over to Neil from TAG to talk to us first. Hi Neil.
Thanks, Jude. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all keeping well. So, as Jude said, my name's Neil Connolly. I'm from the Advisory Group. So, the Advisory Group is a charity that's been going since 2012. We work with people with learning disabilities. My role within TAG is the Community Sport and Health Coordinator. I've been in the role for just over 5 years, worked in different areas. So, been North Lanarkshire, Renfrewshire, mostly based in Glasgow for myself now. But TAG as a whole, we work all over the country. So we've got TAG groups all over the country made up of people with learning disabilities to come together. We did, pre-pandemic, come together and spoke about local issues, things that were important to them. We ran consultations, we done training, done various things, depending on what the group were wanting to do, really. So today, as Jude said, I'm wanting to talk about a programme called Game Changers. This is something that's been in the making. We've got the funding on the week the first lockdown was announced in March last year. So it was quite an interesting time to be approved funding then. We didn't actually launch the programme until June last year. So it's been interesting to say the least, and we've had to make some tweaks as we went along. So the initial idea behind the programme was we wanted to improve sport and resources. We wanted to increase participation in physical activity, enable disabled athletes to progress further in their sporting field. So a few different things built around it. It's a 3-year project. And initially the idea was that we wanted to do this, start it off by having community quizzes. So we would bring loads of people together and we would see what people wanted to do, what the gaps in the area were, and to see how we could kind of shape the programme. Because the idea was that we were basically going to offer it out to people with disabilities, and then they were going to help us shape it as it went along, and they were going to be behind the whole design of it all, really. So there's 3 different parts of the programme. There's the participants, the game changers, and the future coaches. So they all link in, they're all kind of strands of each other. The participants, this is simply us wanting to signpost people to what's available in their community just now at the moment. So we want to be simply showing people what is out there, either supporting them along to it or just basically passing on the details and introducing them to the club and the opportunities that are currently there available to them. Also from that, we want to be identifying any gaps. So if we had somebody approach us and said, I'm really interested in a cricket club, for example, and there's maybe not one in that particular that area of Glasgow or that area where they live, we would then potentially contact the governing body or look for any potential ones that we could maybe try and develop an opportunity with regards to from that. The game changers themselves, so this is basically from, we run a programme, a schools group programme, where we go into primary schools and we get, it's like an inclusion training programme. So we had a lot of the guys feeding back to us saying that they were getting quite a lot of things said to them in the street, and a lot of kids not really understanding what it was to have a disability. So we offered it out to the groups that were available to us, and we said, who wants to be part of this? And the guys came in, we put together a whole programme that we could offer out to the schools. And the idea was that they would go in, they would, people from different backgrounds, so they've been married, they've been abroad, they've been to the Special Olympics, they've got jobs, they live independently, they've got all these and done all these fantastic things. So the idea was that we went into the schools and we spoke to the kids about it all, and the kids were allowed to ask questions, what it was to have a disability, what language to use, all these different things, and breaking down the barriers of it. So the idea of the co-trainers was that we were going to be doing something similar, but doing it to a mainstream sporting environment. So the idea was that we were going to be working with individuals with disabilities. They were going to be designing and developing a disability awareness training course that we could then offer out to mainstream sporting clubs. And people that would be speaking about a disability was people with disabilities. And the hope of that would be that it would educate the coaches within the club, and it would also make them just that bit more accessible to people with disabilities. The third part of the programme is the legends. So this is basically somebody that's not only shown an interest in playing sport, but potentially coaching sport. So what when I was doing the kind of research for the grant application, it was fairly low, to say the least, the amount of people with disabilities involved in coaching, and the amount of people that with a disability have been through a coaching qualification. So we spoke to various governing bodies, SFA, etc., and they agreed and said, yeah, there's definitely a gap there, there's something that can happen. So for us, the idea sparked from, we set up a football programme in Renfrewshire and offered it out to anyone in the area that wanted to come along that had a disability. So on a weekly basis, we got about 20 odd people coming along, and it was great. And guys, the whole idea was that we wanted to link it in with spinning, and it was building up and it was great, and then lockdown happened. So that, I mean, that's another story in itself. But from that programme, we had some people approaching us at each session and said, I really want to help out in this session. I really want to do more. What more can I do? So we said to them, have you ever thought about coaching? Is it ever something that you've had an interest in? And it was that they'd never thought about it, and they didn't know how to approach it, and they didn't know what information to look for, where to go for it, and just generally how to go about it. So I got in touch with SFA and said, look, I've got people here with disabilities. We're really keen to get them the coaching qualification and help support them through this. So the SFA was great and offered us some places on a level 1 coaching course. So it was a standard introduction to coaching, one at Tory Glen. So there was about 60 odd people there on the day. And it was quite fast paced for the guys, but spoke to them afterwards and they loved it, and they loved being part of it. But we had a session afterwards and we sat down and we said, right, okay, so what would you have done differently? What could have made that experience just a bit better for you? And we fed this back to the SFA, and they were really keen to support the programme itself and really keen to see it kind of going forward. So the idea of the Legends programme is that if somebody approaches us, we work with them to gain a qualification. Then what we would like to do is signpost them to a club in the area that they could then potentially volunteer at. So if we, in theory, if we had a club that we worked with and we put them through a disability awareness training programme, they worked with us in terms of building a disability sector or just making things more accessible. Then if we had an athlete that approached us and said, I really want to get involved in, say, just for talking sake, football, and we were like, great, we've got a football club here in the East End of Glasgow. It's been through this Game Changers programme. They're showing a desire to bring more people with disabilities into the club. Then we can signpost that person to that club, and then in theory you could have somebody with a disability coaching people with disabilities at that club, and just generally it could be a continual thing. So it's a 3-year project. It's quite a bulk of work, and it's been interesting for myself personally, but just in terms of how we've adapted through the pandemic side of things. So instead of relying on community quizzes and generally big, bold, lots of people to come together, we've had to rely solely on referrals and people that are already showing an interest in sport. So it's been great in working with people on an individual basis. So by this point in January, in normal circumstances, I was hoping to have done lots of taster sessions, etc., but that's not happened. So we've had to kind of flip it, and we're working with people on an individual basis, and we're putting together what we're calling an aim to goal plan. So this is basically a support plan for an individual where we write down their goals and we make it all accessible, and we have it all in a graphic information that they can understand. So we do things that are interesting to them, things they would like to achieve, things they're most proud of, and we're getting it noted down, and it's something that they can print out to the person, they can put it on the wall, they can write on it, they can do what they want, and then it can be later adjusted in the future. So really the stage we're at now is basically working with individuals, but then also looking to see if there's any clubs that we could potentially be working with and saying, is this something that would be interested to you guys in the future when we're allowed to actually go out and have a taster session or two. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at just now with it also. I appreciate you listening. Hope it wasn't too boring, and if you get any questions, don't hesitate to ask, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Neil. That was great. I don't think it was boring in the slightest. I think it's a fabulous programme, and love hearing about it. So I really hope that it's successful. If anybody does want to get in touch with Neil about either TAG more generally or the Game Changers project, are you able to just pop your email address into chat? Would that be okay, Neil? Yeah, cool. Thank you. And does anybody have any immediate questions for Neil right now with regards to anything that he just talked about? I don't see anyone. That's fine. We'll have a Q&A at the end anyway if anything springs to mind. And obviously after the session as well, we can pick up on anything if anyone thinks of anything. All right, so we'll just move on then just now to Stephen from West Quarter and Reading Cricket Club. Stephen, can I just hand over to you?
Okay, thanks, Jude. I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
You bear with me 1 second. Can you see that okay now?
Yep, we can.
Right. So, as you said, my name's Stephen Sutton. I'm part of West Quarter and Reading Cricket Club. And if I just go to the next slide, I thought I'd start with a little bit of background of where we came from. So the club's been going for 112 years, pretty much as a cricket club, very small cricket club based in Falkirk, in between Edinburgh and Glasgow. We started doing a lot of work in '95, where we sold our old small ground and bought a farm basically and started turning the facilities. The key thing there is we had a building. It took 3 years between 2012 to 2015 to build and open a nursery, which we lease out to Glenbervie Kindergarten. So that gives us, over and above our fees, that gives us a regular income that allows us to do some of the work inside disability sports and other things and keep the fees low for all our kids and adults. In 2018, we took the decision to become a community interest company, mainly for 2 reasons. One, we were working with Sports Marketing Network at the time, and you tell stories of committees with constituted sports groups having lawsuits brought against them and the committees being personally liable for it. So we wanted to take away any of that worry from people who wanted to help and be on the committee. So becoming a community interest company basically sets up a limited company and limits our liability to £1. But the other thing it does as well, because we have 3 hectares of land, £1 million worth of buildings insurance, it puts an asset lock in, so we can sell things, but it has to be for full market value, and any proceeds that are made have to be invested back in, so nobody could come and take over, sell everything and take all the money out. So that was important for us, that what we're doing was legally and financially secure. Fast forward now to 2020, we've been doing more and more in the community. So in December 2020, we've put in an application to move from being a CIC to a SKIO. We feel that the charity status more fits in with our ethos and what we're doing, and hopefully in the next 2 years we'll see some major facility upgrades. We're looking at putting new changing rooms in, hopefully in May this year, and a new social space, all of which will be used, in addition to the cricket, will be used to support our work in disability sports. We didn't really set out necessarily to get involved in disability sports, and we always had an ethos that we wanted people to be involved. So we looked at what the definition of being inclusive is, and it then sort of fits into people who may have disabilities, who may not want or be able to join in mainstream activities. But for us, being welcoming and being inclusive wasn't just a case of sitting there and saying, if people turn up at our door, we'll welcome them, we'll look after them. It started with us being more proactive and going out and seeking people. The first area we got involved is we had a girl who was part of our juniors, and as we do our training, the parents come along and stay. My wife goes along and chats to the whole family, and becomes a community in the club. So she was saying it was great for her daughter. She had dancing, she had the cricket, but her son, who was being diagnosed with autism, had tried some things, been asked not to come back, found it a struggle. Sometimes we struggle with noise, large groups. So he didn't really have much to do. So that didn't really sit well with us, that people were missing out. So speaking to the mother, she said that her son attended Plus Forth Valley. So we reached out to Plus Forth Valley in Falkirk, and over a few months had some discussions of what we could do to try and help. And on the back of that, I went out and delivered 3 sessions on their own site. So it was in a situation and a surrounding that was familiar, which can be one thing with autism if people are taken out of the routine and put somewhere else. It also prompted us as a club to put all our key coaches through coaching kids with autism courses. And it's actually helped because we run All Stars for 5 to 8-year-olds, and we do have some children who've been diagnosed with autism who are part of that, and they're happy to be part of the mainstream, but it's just knowing how to handle and treat them. And some of them may lose attention and wander off, or it's just not being upset by that and just letting them come back in their own time. So we wanted to make sure if they come to our mainstream sessions, they have as good a time as possible, but also to equip our coaches to handle this. The next thing we looked at is my wife's aunt in Glasgow was diagnosed with dementia 2 or 3 years ago. So she was looking at services in Glasgow for her, but then started looking, well, what is there in Falkirk? And around about the time, a couple of years ago, my mum was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. So it then became more of a personal thing. So we looked in, and there is a dementia cafe that's based in Falkirk, but there wasn't really much in terms of activity. So we reached out to Alzheimer's Scotland and now have a very good relationship with their dementia advisor based in Falkirk. And we, in November 2018, we did a trial session where we hired a sports centre. Alzheimer's Scotland organised the people to come along, and we have a archery club that shoot out ground. So we did some cricket with them, some archery and some patang, and they loved it. There was one gentleman who was from Aberdeen who used to play cricket with his works team up there, and it's very much bringing back memories for him. So it can be a memory aid which sort of brings the person back, or it can be, if it's something new, it's that making the brain work and helps that slow down dementia. So on the back of that, in 2019, we set up a group called Try Something New. So once a month, we run a session. Obviously, it's paused now because a lot of these people are in the most vulnerable group. We are still in touch with them via Zoom, but you can see it's not the same. So we're very keen to get back to the physical and the social side of things. It's very important for not only the people living with dementia, but also the family carers for their mental health. But it didn't stop there. So we did cricket, we did archery, we did patang. We then started reaching out to the local community. We had one of the mums who's a yoga teacher, so we've done chair yoga, we've done chair tai chi, we've done Italian, we've had dementia dogs along. I've got a friend who's a ballroom dancing teacher, so he came along and did ballroom dancing, and one of the ladies used to be a dancer, so that was very close to her and helped to come back. And we've also reached out to other local groups, like Lauriston Tennis Club. We've been along and done tennis with them. December 2019 went down to Lauriston Bowling Club, and they did a little spread for Christmas for them, and had a little Christmas party and did indoor bowls for them. This is just trying to give something and get more people involved in making people living with dementia feel valued members of society. Then once we started doing that, you start getting a desire to do more. And I'd seen lots of stuff that was going on through Cricket Scotland to do with table cricket in Perth and further north, and also Lord Taverners down in England, where they had a big competition for table cricket, which is basically cricket played on top of a table tennis table, able to be played for anyone from wheelchair to varying disabilities to able-bodied people. And they have a competition that runs in England that the finals played at Lord's at the home of cricket. So we were keen to bring something into this area. So we got in touch with Graham Harvey of Forth Valley Disability Sports, because he already has a network of people, and he ran monthly events where they did various sports for people with disabilities. We also worked closely with Barry when he was at Cricket Forth Valley. And what we started doing is taking the table cricket to their monthly sessions and adding it in, maybe 5 or 6 things did, and people rotate round. And it was a great success, and people loved it. And it meant that no matter their disability, they could all get involved together and play in one game. The next thing came about is before the pandemic, and I suppose still the case, I work part-time, so I never used to work Fridays. So when my daughter was at school, I had free time if I ignored the wife and doing housework and stuff. So we have a really good relationship with active schools. A lot of stuff we do mainstream through the schools is through active schools. So I reached out to our active school disability coordinator and said, I've got some spare time on a Friday morning. is there anything we can do to help any of the people who may be with a disability in the schools, that we can use my time to give them the chance to participate. So she eventually hooked me up with Easter Carmuir's enhanced provision. Now, the enhanced provision class is for kids who could have physical disabilities, they could have autism, they could have learning difficulties, where they may be out in their own class for certain activities, but for maths and English, they may come back into one central class, and it's various age groups. It can be P2, P3, P4, P5. And it actually turned out that the lead teacher of the enhanced provision class was also the mum to one of our juniors. So she knew us and knew how we can deliver stuff for kids normally. So what happened is then I went out for 4 weeks on a Friday and delivered cricket coaching based on All Stars. So it was fine, so I had the kit. I would turn up and run sessions, had some help from Cricket Forth Valley as well. But after the 4 weeks, it was a bit like, don't really want to walk away and leave it, because that's given them a taste and they all loved it. So with the help of Barry, we looked into running what's called Enhanced Provision All Stars, which is taking a mainstream program of All Stars, which we normally run and have 50 odd kids turn up to on a Friday. But we then sort of tailored it to initially a pilot at the Easter Carmuir's. Now, normally the All Stars cost £40. Another thing about Easter Carmuir's, it isn't an area of deprivation. So normally at All Stars, it costs £40. The club get £5 of that. So we gave that up, even though we were running it. So it left £35. And I come a bit on the next slide, we got some funding for £20, and then the school put in the other £15. So last year we ran a very successful 8-week block for them. But what it also meant is, because we set them up as an all-star centre, they got the kit. They got to keep the coaching kit. So they have a big bag of cricket kit they can use at any time. And in fact, in August last year, when they went back to school after the lockdown, the first thing the enhanced provision class asked to do was to go outside and play cricket, which is great. So the theme is that we've sort of found a need, or where we think we can help, found an organisation already in that space and teamed up with them, but also with the disability cricket, table cricket and the EP All Stars, because they're sort of core cricket things. We are working very closely, and are not still Barry's thunder of how we're looking to move these forwards, but we also work very closely with Cricket Scotland on these things. And then it sort of starts to grow. So tail end of last year, I was contacted by Active Schools if I'd be interested to go in and do some coaching at Langley's primary school. It should have started last week, but obviously the schools aren't in. So this has been pushed back. So these are kids who are struggling in mainstream education. They've set up a thing called a nurture group. So these kids are having sort of life lessons taught through. They've had football and rugby so far, and actually one of them asked about getting cricket. So this is trying to get them through sport to re-engage with education. Now, there could be some background learning difficulties, but to me, as I said, it's not really just disabilities. It's giving people a chance who wouldn't necessarily come along to mainstream events that we'd run. So I know Judy put a couple of pictures in, but this is pretty much why you do it. And down the left-hand side, you'll see the table cricket, and these are people, and some of the carers are there who are able-bodied are joining as well, so they can all join in together and play table cricket together. It's basically you have a little ramp and run a ball down it, and then you have a bat at the other end that you use to hit it, and you get runs for hitting certain zones. So it's ideal for engaging, and pretty much everyone who was there was able to take part in it. The middle and top right is our Try Something New group. So this is, the middle one is the Falkirk Company of Archers who shoot with us doing some archery. The top one's doing indoor curling. And it's good. It brings back memories for them if it's a sport they've done before, or something they've done before, or a stimulation if it's something completely new to them. But then what's also key is the social side of things. We're fortunate we have a good relationship with Falkirk Community Trust and the people at Pullman Sports Centre who allow us to put a wee table in. So we have tea and coffee there. So at the end, we stop and have 20 minutes of just a chat and a catch up. And the bottom two are probably the ones that's most tugs at your heartstrings, is that these kids are just so keen, and it's what's really gratifying is over the 8 weeks, the teacher said how their hand-eye coordination improved, how their attention improved, how they're engaged and want to take part. And the bottom right is, as part of All Stars, when you pay your money, which obviously didn't cost them anything, you get a hat, a t-shirt with your name on, a bat and a ball. Now, because I set up with Barry, all the equipment came to me. So our first session, I turned up at their class and it was like Christmas. So the wee girl there is, they were doing some dress up. So she's in her princess dress. The next minute, she's in a cricket kit and we're outside playing cricket. So this is why you do it. It's how you see the enjoyment they get out of being able to do something. One important thing is it's great having a desire and wanting to do it, but it's like most things cost money. So we had to look down as a club, what can we do? So the first things we did cost time, not physical money. So the stuff we did with Plus Forth Valley was at their centre. We had equipment. It was my time. So it didn't actually physically cost cash. So that was okay. And again, with the enhanced provision class, the first 4 weeks of coaching was my time, some time from Barry, and we had all the equipment. So initial investment was time. Then we started looking at money and said, and the key thing mentioned in the nursery is that we are in a very fortunate position that we are financially secure and we can put money aside for doing things. So the first year that we ran the Try Something New group, we paid for all the hall hire. Most people we managed to persuade to give up their time for nothing when they came to do their Tai Chi. Other people we paid expenses to, but that came all out of the club. We want to make it accessible to people, not ask them to pay, because we felt that we can give this back. But one way that we looked at is, if it's costing us money, that we can make things go further, is to make it cheaper. So we do all our booking for the sports centres through Falkirk Community Trust. With the old adage, if you don't ask, you don't get. I spoke to them and said, we're running these sessions for Alzheimer's Scotland. What can we do? So they gave us a 50% reduction in hall hire. They also had some kit from the active school stuff they do. So initially we borrowed their indoor curling set to give us something else to do for no cost. So it's not always about raising money, it's about, I suppose, how doing things more cheaply. The thing we did in terms of the EP All Stars, I said we gave up our £5, and then we looked at the £35, and because of where the school is, we didn't want money to be a barrier to the kids taking part, and the school were keen that all 12 of their kids took part. So with the help of Barry and Cricket Forth Valley, we went out to a charity called Beyond Boundaries, who do funding for cricket. So this was exactly in the sweet spot of what they fund. So they then gave us funding for £20 per child, which then meant we had, for the kids, it would not cost to us. I mean, it was only, again, it was our time. There was £15 per child to be paid. So sometimes some of the groups you work with may have funding, and then in the case of Easter Calm Muirs, they use the PEF funding, which is funding they get for equality for children. So if they run classes for enhanced provision, they get more money to help pay for these things. So they took the decision to pay the £15 for each of their 12 kids. So at the end of the day, the kids got their 8 weeks of all hours, and it didn't cost the families a penny. A mixture of the club giving up some money, Beyond Boundaries playing some money, and the school putting some money in. Grants and funding is always a funny thing, because you think you know, lots of people have been doing fundraising for a number of years now for various things, and it's still ongoing. So you think you know a lot of the funders. So Bailey Gifford were running a programme, so we thought, to allow us to do other things, now we've got the Alzheimer's Scotland Try Something New group set up. We applied to their programme for £1,700, which would have covered hall hire for the year, buying some equipment, covering food costs, allowing us to pay people to come in to deliver the sessions if they're doing something like Tai Chi. So we thought, we have a group that's set up, it's working, we've got regular attendances. In 2019, we were a finalist in the Alzheimer's Scotland awards, and we thought that would be fine. The Bailey Gifford scheme is administered by Foundation Scotland. So I got an email back from Foundation Scotland saying, sorry, unfortunately, the Bailey Gifford scheme is oversubscribed. Your group didn't fit in as well as some others, so we can't offer you the money. And the first thing you think is, oh no, that's really bad. What am I going to do now? It stops us doing other things. But then I read the second half of the email, and I think it's important then to speak to people like Foundation Scotland. They came back and said, but we've matched you to another fund we have, the Champ Trust, never heard of it. So they gave us their £1,700 out of a different pot of money. So speaking to people like Foundation Scotland, I even tried to Google them to find out about them. You can find a little bit, and they have a Just Given page, and obviously they're on the Oscar. But you can't find out anything else about them. And they've got £1 million+ that they give out. So it's important not to assume that you know all the people that will give out funding. I won't do too much about this, but some of the things that we're looking to do going forward with disability sports will have some seed funding from Cricket Scotland and organised through Cricket Forth Valley. So they'll give you some of the money. It might not be all the cost, but they'll give you some money towards it. So it's to work out, if you're going to run a programme, can you find a body that looks after it? Or it could be for us, Alzheimer's Scotland, could they put some money towards it and find a way of sharing the cost? The last thing that we've done recently is, over the last 6-7 years, we're fortunate our ground sits in the heart of a lot of farmland next to us, but a lot of housing next to us, and we have, through the juniors and engaging with families, built up a very good community. So recently we're doing some upgrades to our ground, and at the entrance to our ground we put a wooden fence in, and came up with the idea of, well, it's a prime spot. When you're driving past, it's quite a busy road. You've got 70 families a week going in and out. Let's speak to local businesses. So we spoke to local businesses. The first two are club sponsored anyway. So we gave them theirs for nothing as part of their annual sponsorship deal with us. But all the rest of them, they paid for the sign. We gave them up to the end of 2023, and then they paid us a small amount in 21 and 22. And it now means these signs we've got up here, 14 of them are giving us £1,200 a year now we have. And what we're going to use it for is things like, we might buy a table tennis table for the table cricket. We might pay for somebody to attend our all-star session, which is £40. We might give free places, speak with schools to find kids that may be struggling for money but have an appetite to do something. So to use the money from allowing local businesses to advertise and leverage that money to allow us to do more. So the last thing is just a sort of simple thing that we do is we've identified where the need or a thing we can think with help with, either whether it's giving opportunities to kids with autism or people with Alzheimer's, and then to find somebody who already works that space, who knows and has a relationship with its Plus Forth Valley, Alzheimer's Scotland, Forth Valley Disability Sports, somebody who knows these people, and then work out a plan of whether it's a taster, what we can do, whether it's us with Alzheimer's Scotland running a monthly group, or whether Forth Valley Disability Sports, it's just joining into their already established monthly sessions, and work out how we can work together to deliver it. And that's all from me. I'll not say too much about our plans for the future, because a lot of it's tied into what Barry's going to tell you about Cricket Scotland. Thanks, Jude. That's me.
Thank you, Stephen. That was fab. I think that West Quarter and Reading are a really great example of a social enterprise in particular, in terms of the work that they do and the community groups that they're working with, and also just in terms of how they do generate income and try to raise funds to keep doing what they do. So I hope that Stephen's presentation has given you some really good information and ideas just around running some of your own groups and clubs. So as Stephen said, they have worked really closely with Cricket Scotland. Cricket Scotland are obviously an incredibly supportive governing body. So Barry is here to just, I guess, expand a little bit more on what Stephen has said and talk a bit about what they're doing nationally. Barry, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Jude. I'll just share my screen, and it never normally likes me doing this, so hopefully it works. If everybody can see that.
That's all good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll try and follow up as best I can on Stephen, who much better at PowerPoint presentations than me, but is a great example of the things that we do and how they work on the ground. A little bit about myself. I've been in post for just over a year now, and my task was to improve and get more established in the disability pathways that we offer out there to the clubs and communities. And despite everything that COVID has thrown at us, I'm quite excited today to present all the opportunities that we have going and are coming up as well. So we'll move on a little bit about Cricket Scotland. Obviously, one of our main aims is around participation and community engagement, and disability cricket is a big driver in one of the things that we do in our development team. So I'm just going to run through the programs. I know Stephen's gone in depth on quite a few of them, so there might be a little bit of repetition here, but hopefully it'll just reinforce some of the things and the good that they can do out there in the community. One of the first programs, and this is sort of the entry level program at disability cricket, and as West Quarter and Reading Cricket Club have already shown, it's extremely beneficial out there in the community, and we were really proud to work alongside them in delivering this. It is aimed at children that are aged 5 to 12. The program itself is adapted from the mainstream program, which is for kids 5 to 8, but we expanded it out to those aged up to 12 years old and putting it into the primary schools. And the main aim of it is to provide participants with the same opportunity and experiences as their mainstream peers. The good thing about All Stars is it's very basic, and it teaches a lot of movement skills, catching, throwing, and things like that. And the kids found it extremely beneficial. The support teachers that worked alongside remarked on the improvements week by week within the participants on how much better they are at catching, their coordination and things like that. It's an extremely beneficial program, and West Quarter piloted it along with Forth Valley and myself, and we now offer this out across the whole of Scotland for schools and clubs to take up. It's very much to encourage that school club link, so it is driven by the club with our support. As Stephen said, we aim to give this for free or for a minimal cost, and he went through some of the funders that helped West Quarter do this, but the main benefits of that is that these kids get the exact same experience. So the school get their full kit bag. It gives them all the cricket equipment that they need, with stumps, bats, balls, cones, everything they need to run a cricket session themselves within the school. Doesn't have to be the All Stars. The All Stars is the introduction for them, and it allows them to continue. But again, the big thing that Stephen says is the personal kit that all the pupils get. And that was a fantastic day. It's the one that lives long in my memory, the day that we rocked up for the first session and Stephen brought all of those kit bags along. It really was something special for all those kids and got their interest in, and that interest continues. To say, when they first come back to school, one of the first tweets Easter Carmi put up was the kids outside playing cricket with their All Stars equipment. This is our entry level into our disability cricket pathways. Moving on, we then work in partnership with Lord Taverners down in England, and with their support, we're able to put on 2 programs up here, again, offered nationally out. One table cricket, which Stephen has mentioned, and also our Super Ones programs, which I'll go into a little bit more depth on both of those. So table cricket, it's very much a strategic game. There's different scoring zones around the table, just like in regular cricket, and the fielders have to be positioned to prevent runs being scored. Each team take it in turn to bowl and bat using the ramp that you can see in the pictures for bowling, and the batters score by hitting those zones around it. It's aimed at participants of all abilities, and it's primarily for those aged 12 to 25, but we've run sessions for those that are over 25 as well. But it's really beneficial for individuals that have severe mobility or cognitive abilities. So there might be a wheelchair user, or maybe not have full use to swing a normal cricket bat. and that. So it's really inclusive to everybody that's in there from all age groups. As I say, we run certified virtual and in-school teacher and volunteer training. It goes out to all the schools. Schools can create their own teams, but also within the community. So we encourage cricket clubs and community centres to take the sport up as well and create their own teams. There's ongoing support coming from us at Cricket Scotland. You can enter regional, national competitions. But a big part of this programme as well is the young leader opportunities for the participants that are in there. So it's not just about playing the game, but it's about increasing their own individual skills and confidence as well, where they can do courses to learn the umpiring side of the game, scoring side of the game, and also managing the teams. So when they go down to regional or the national competitions, they'll actually be in charge of their own team, helping supervise and run those games. So it's not just about playing the game, it's about giving them these additional skills as well. As we deliver this in schools, community settings, and within the club environment. Super Ones, this is for the participants that have a greater ability to play the game as they would in mainstream. And we all know that young people with disabilities, loneliness is a big issue for them all. And what Super Ones does is allows them to come into a community setting and play cricket with their peers from all around their regions, their local areas. And what we do is we offer 4-week taster sessions, which we'll go out and deliver. This again is within schools, community and club environment. And then we encourage these participants to go along and join their local Super Ones hub or their Disability Cricket Champion Club. And the Champion Club I'll go on to a bit later on. These are weekly sessions that run right throughout the year that they can come along to. They have the opportunity to play in regional and national competitions as well. And also the young leader and volunteer opportunities. So again, we're encouraging them not to just think about playing the game, but take up the opportunities where they can help supervise, volunteer at the sessions, become coaches themselves, or even go down umpiring and scoring as well. We provide ongoing support to these hubs, and within that support, we offer lifestyle workshops where we can deliver things on vitamin E. So one I run recently with Donaldson's school was a vitamin E workshop where they learn all about the bones and where the bones are in the body and how bones can break and protecting yourself when playing sport. So these are sort of lifestyle workshops that we can offer. But also with the support of Lord Taverners, there's a lot of online activities, and this has been really key over the last few months during this pandemic to allow participants to continue learning and playing the game themselves by taking part in these activities that are online. Moving on, I mentioned the Disability Cricket Champion Club, and again, this is sort of stepping through our pathway. So you notice that the All-Stars was aimed at 5 to 12-year-olds, and then the table cricket and the Super Ones, 12 to 25-year-olds. Well, this year, we're quite excited and proud to be launching our Disability Cricket Champion Clubs, and this launches on the 25th of January. So cricket as a game itself unites communities and improves their lives. And Cricket Scotland, we very much want every individual and community to be united by the feeling that cricket is a game for them. Now, the Champion Clubs programme will support clubs to create and develop playing opportunities for those with disabilities. They'll be supported to welcome the individuals with different needs, varying abilities, to actually become valued members of that cricket club and celebrate the game of cricket as a game for everyone. And this is open to all ages and abilities. So we'd be encouraging participants from the All-Stars, from Super Ones, from table cricket to go along and join their champion club. These clubs, what we want them to do is to give the exact same experience as their mainstream counterparts. Get that feel of being part of a club, playing the game, and enjoying everything else that comes along with playing a sport game, from the match days, from the friendships that are built, and that. Through this program, Stephen did mention things around seed funding. Each club that is successful in applying to become this champion club will receive £500 in grant funding. This is to help support their coaches, their volunteers, buying additional equipment that they will need. They'll also receive a full kit bag, which includes some adaptive equipment, so they can adapt their sessions to players that are possibly wheelchair users. There's ongoing online support for the clubs and the coaches throughout the season. There's assistance in their program evaluation. So at the end of each year, we'll sit down with the clubs and help them evaluate how the season has gone and how they can move on the next year and improve. But as well, we're saying it's not just all about playing. There are other opportunities out there for individuals with disabilities that maybe don't want to play a sport, but want to be involved in the sporting world. And we are working with Cricket Scotland's Match Officials Association to open up opportunities within scoring and umpiring within the game as well. So even if they don't want to play a game, there is an opportunity there for them to come along and be an umpire within the sport, or to enjoy the match day and score the games as they go along. Participants that go along to a champion club will be offered a variety of formats that they could play. So the softball, which is the Super Ones cricket, hopefully progressing some onto the hardball, which we have at Donaldson Super Ones hub. Some of them are now trying the hardball, and also the table cricket offering. So it's looking to link the local community hubs that are out there that are more regional, and people will probably come from all over the place to come and join in these hubs. It's to then encourage them to go from these hubs and into a club environment. And as part of this, they will also be entered into our Super Nines Development League. This again is a new thing for us this year. This is going to be our inaugural season for 2021. And as I say, it's Super Ones to Super Nines. So through the All-Stars, the Super Ones and the Disability Champion Club, we've been introducing them to the game of cricket, whether that's playing, scoring or umpiring. And this is about now offering them opportunities to go and play competitive cricket on a regular basis throughout the cricket season. It's for players with physical and or learning disabilities. Now, with Super Nines, it can be played in various formats. As we're going to be running a development league, it's going to be playing 8-a-side and pairs cricket. So it's a modified version of cricket, very much in line with the mainstream quick cricket that they play. They'll play in pairs cricket as well. This is where our champion clubs and the Super One hub teams will all compete together, and we are planning for 6 league days. So unlike mainstream cricket, where they'll play week in, week out, possibly on Saturdays, Sundays and Wednesdays, that's quite demanding for players. So what we want to do is incorporate that so it eases the pressure on playing and the amount of time that it does require of them. And we're creating league days. So all the teams will come together on the same day. They'll be hosted by the champion clubs at their ground. So again, they're getting the feel of playing competitive matches within a cricket club environment. And they'll play multiple games throughout the day. So it gives less, it provides less pressure on traveling week in, week out. They come down for a full day. They get multiple games in the day against different teams. We are planning for 4 outdoor games and 2 indoor games. So we're going to extend it throughout the winter. So they'll be playing throughout the whole season, and ultimately producing Scotland's first disability champions by the end of it. And you see at the bottom there as well, for individuals that don't want to play, but do want to be involved in the sporting world in some capacity, there's the umpiring and scoring pathway, which we are looking to introduce as well. And we're being supported from Shropshire Cricket down in England, who have some umpires with disabilities that are working there. So we're working closely with them to help encourage more individuals with disabilities to get involved in umpiring, scoring. And that pretty much takes through everything that we're doing at Cricket Scotland. As I say, it's a snapshot of the pathway, and hopefully it makes sense as to how we work through the different age groups and what we have to offer. But all these programs have benefits in their own way, and people that want to get involved can get involved at any level that they want. So although there are ages sort of stated on the Lord Taverners programs, we don't bind to that. We do have participants that are over 25 that come along because the benefits are there for everybody to get involved. If anybody would like any more details or further information on that, that's my contact details there on that final slide. Please do get in touch with me. I'd be more than happy to talk through the opportunities that are out there and help you establish them if you want to. And I'll hand back over to Jude. Any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and I'll answer.
Thanks, Barry. That was great. You are obviously doing loads of great stuff at Cricket Scotland, really different and varied programmes and opportunities there. So that's just all sounds amazing. I've actually got a question. It's maybe a stupid one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But if you're an organisation that doesn't necessarily deliver cricket or have facilities to play cricket, and it's not really something that you might have thought of, would you still be able to contact you at Cricket Scotland for support to develop, say, the table cricket programme if you happen to have a space where you could do that?
Yes, definitely. We encourage organisations from outside the cricket world to take this up. The programme itself is extremely beneficial. We've worked closely with Forth Valley Disability Sport in their multi-sport sessions that they do. So it's easily adapted to any space, because to say it only takes a table tennis table. We can come in, we can set up, we can run the taster sessions, and then within those organisations you can create your own team going forward, and you get the full support from myself, Cricket Scotland and Lord Taverners in doing that. So the same opportunities are out there for non-cricket organisations. We do encourage them to get involved because the benefits coming out of table cricket are brilliant.
Fab. That's the, yeah, because I guess some people might just think, oh, that's just for cricket clubs, but if anyone can do it, then that's great. So I think we'll maybe just move on. If anybody does have an immediate question, let me know, but we'll maybe just skip on to Andrew from SDS, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll hear from them. Andrew.
No problem. Just going to have a look to see if I can get my presentation.
If there's any problems now, we know that it's your fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
Hello, I'm Andrew Kenzie, and I'm the West Regional Development Manager for Scottish Disability Sport. I'll just give you a wee bit of kind of context of kind of why we're looking to kind of get more people involved in sport. So here are some statistics that we've put in place, and we've just seen there that we've got 24% of adults in Scotland reported having to have limited long-term health conditions. Those with a long-term limited condition were likely to be physically active compared to those with no conditions. So I can see maybe down at this bottom bit here with 2% of the qualified coaching workforce have a disability. So these are some of the things that obviously we're looking to change big style. And it's as you can see what Barry and Stephen are doing, they're probably looking at it saying that they want to kind of change that as well as us in different sporting organisations as well. So half of those living in poverty are disabled people and their families. 7 in 10 disabled people want to take part in more sport and physical activity. 8% of club members report having a disability. 82% of participants felt better being part of sport. 71% felt more confident being in sport, and 67% got more out of life after being in sport as well. And almost half of disabled people fear losing their benefits if they're seen to have to be physically active. So these are, some of the things that we're, maybe some that we're facing that are quite difficult, and why we're in the role to try and try and change this. So I'll give you a wee bit about what we kind of do and how we can support. So we've got SDS have got regional managers across the country. I'm the one in the west that covers Glasgow, Renfrewshire, East Renfrewshire, Inverclyde and Argyll and Bute. We do plenty of partnership workings with local authorities like your active schools, your sports development officers, your sporting governing bodies like Cricket Scotland, and maybe like your Badminton Scotland and Basketball Scotland, to give you an idea. We also work in partnership with parents, the NHS. So we work with NHS with referrals. So people in NHS will work or be with people who are going through, maybe they might have had the kind of disability just maybe recently, or they maybe had it through birth. So these kind of people are either looking for sport or maybe looking just to get a wee bit more physical active. And they range from different ages and abilities as well. So that includes physical impairment, that includes hearing impairment, visual impairment, and learning disabilities as well. So an example of kind of our partnership working is that myself and Nancy, she'll go on a wee bit later on about talking about her kind of work. So we've put on different groups throughout kind of Glasgow. So we've got in the west as well. So we've got a Glasgow working group. So we work closely with Active Schools, Glasgow Life, and we've also worked closely with Neil over at TAG to try and look at opportunities to bring through more opportunities in Glasgow. So we try and work in partnership with different clubs, different coaches, different sports to make sure that we can put this on and really kind of showcase of how we can do that. Another partnership working that we do is universities and colleges and schools. So we do work really, really closely with them, try and bring more coach education in place, because we do maybe have some kind of teachers who might not feel confident in maybe taking a session or looking for more information about how they can develop. And also work with young sports leaders as well to give them an understanding of if they're going into a school or if they're going into their club, they get the backing and the support of being part of like kind of coach education and increase the participation as well. So we're trying to put all these kind of places in together to make sure that young people who are coming through, or people who are in sports sessions, teachers, coaches, if you've got experience or you've not got experience, we're putting these opportunities in place to make sure that if you are coming alongside, that you get the experience, the support, and yeah, you might feel like you can want to take these kind of sessions on. Events, so we do plenty of events throughout the year. We've got a national calendar, so we have our big one, which is our parasport. I don't know if anyone's maybe heard of it before, but we have parasport events throughout the whole country. So whoever's the kind of RDM in your local area, they will be putting on a parasport event, and the parasport event is kind of taster sessions of different sports that children would like that can try. And they might not have tried before, or they might be coming back again to be part of that. And that ages from, in the West anyway, it's P5 all the way through to S6. And we've had swimming being involved, so we've had Scottish swimming and clubs being involved. We've had athletics with Scottish athletics and clubs involved, wheelchair basketball, and kind of other basketball opportunities, football with power chair as well, and we've had boccia. So I don't know if you've heard of boccia, but we are the governing body of boccia, and tennis and badminton. So we put on, there's about maybe 9 sports overall, and we get maybe about 100 children coming along on the day from, in the West, 13 local authorities. So that's a good representation, and we want to make sure that children know about it. We want teachers to know about it, clubs to know about it as well. So if you are interested in thinking a wee bit more about our kind of parasport, we do have a YouTube channel, and we've got the 10 years of parasport. This year would have been our 12th year, but unfortunately we've put that on hold because of the kind of pandemic that we're in. We've also, in our events, we do have plenty of kind of athletics events. We do swimming events, football events. So we do have various other sports involved in our calendar, and you can go on our website to have a look. We do have an events calendar and events page, and you can see about who to contact if you want to know maybe know more about it, or if you like to be maybe part of the day as well, because we're more than happy for people to come along and say that they're interested, and we want to kind of branch out and show what, if you're not too sure about how to go about kind of sessions, you're more than welcome to come and visit these kind of events to see how we run it. You can speak to different clubs as well, to see how they run their sessions, because you know, some of the sessions that we do have, or some of the clubs, some of them will be mainstream, with, you know, that kind of integrated with people with a disability to feel like that they're part of the group, or it might be disability specific, so that, you know, people who do have a disability are being, there might be more of a focus on helping them, supporting them through the sessions. Sustainability, so, you know, the sessions that we do work in, the people that we work with, we want to make sure that these programs are sustainable. As what kind of Stephen said earlier on, he was saying that after the 4 weeks, what do we do? So we're in that kind of situation where we want to make sure that everything is sustainable. Clubs who have got their sessions, we want to make sure that they're sustainable, they've got the support, that they're knowing that that we're there all the time to make sure that if they need help, or if they're looking for more information or any sort of support with athletes, coaches, even families as well, we are here and we can link them in with different partners. So that's the type of stuff that we want to do. Support to embed inclusion principles within organisations. So right at the start, we want to make sure that your kind of governance side of things, that there is inclusion there. And, you know, as I say, it's a work from all the way from the top, all the way from to the bottom. If you're in your back room with your committees, we want to make sure that those practices are in place and they're typed up and they're in your constitutions. You've got your kind of player support kind of there as well. Maybe have a disability champion, is what the cricket guys are saying as well. That kind of stuff that we're wanting to make sure that that's embedded in your organisation, and that you're ready for anyone to come through the door and be, you know, supportive, welcoming, and that goes along with your kind of coach education side of things as well, to make sure that you're not maybe in the dark about how to take sessions on, and that we do have our DITs, we've got, which is our disability inclusion training. So we do have a generic one, which is overall looking at all different disabilities and kind of word choices as well. And we also have like kind of focus approaches, where if it may be autism awareness, if it's visual impairment you want to focus on, or hearing impairment, physical impairment, cerebral palsy, these type of things that we do have in place, so it shapes and helps your coaches depending on what your focus is on. Sporting pathways and athlete and coach support, we want to make sure that there's pathways from grassroots all the way through to that kind of elite. So we do work in partnership with you know, athletes who are going to the Paralympics, who are going to World Championships, European Championships, and we also support in that local level as well, where it would be maybe regional competitions and friendly competitions as well. An athlete and the coaches, we make sure that they are fully supported through. We've got our a kind of performance manager as well, who's always there to make sure that their training's going okay and their programs are all in place as well. And the coach support, as I said, we just want to make sure that those coaches who want to kind of be part of a disability sport, that they get the support of the DIT, or working with the kind of sport and governing bodies to make sure that they are feeling that they're being part of the process, and fully supporting getting those athletes going through. And if it's more of the pathway for, for athletes who want to be more of the kind of leisure side of things, and that's absolutely fine, because we want to make sure that people stay in sport and they get the benefits of being in sport as well. Coach education, just kind of talked about there, and also promotion. We want to promote people and clubs who are doing all these kind of sessions, like what Stephen's doing. I'm sure he's getting the support with through Forth Valley and SDS over in that area with Cheryl. So we want to make sure that that promotion is throughout. We've got social media platforms online, and we do our website as well. So we want to promote the good news stories. We want to promote clubs who are doing the good work in their community and offering those inclusive opportunities. So this is everything that we do, and we're really, really passionate to make sure that people who do have a disability, no matter where you are, you've got an opportunity to be part of sport. And if there is clubs or coaches who are interested, if they've had experience or not had experience, we want to make sure that they feel that they can definitely be part of this kind of group and area, because you can maybe be the next person or the next coach to bring through a Paralympian or another great coach, no matter what ability that they've got. So these are what we can support on, and more than happy to speak to you more about that. These are the different kind of models that we've got to make sure that coaches or anyone are going through the kind of process that we've got. So on the left hand side with the kind of green circle around it, we've got the SEN model. So it's this, or it's the SEN model now. It's an activity inclusion model. So we've got like the participant in the middle. Then you've got your open, specific, modified, and parallel approach to it. If you go on our DIT, kind of plugging our DIT here, but if you go on our DIT course, you'll have more of an understanding about how we do that, about what is open, what is parallel, what is modified. And then we talk about like the kind of setting, the activity, the impairment, and the ability of the participant itself. And then it's everyone else round about. So it's your key partners, it's your clubs and activity sessions, and the coaches and volunteers. How to make that a person who does have a disability feel confident, they feel happy, they feel welcomed to be part of your club. We've also got the STEP model, which I'm sure you've probably maybe seen before, with the space, task, equipment, and people. And we've also just introduced our inclusion wheel as well. So again, that's the participant in the middle and everyone who's the influencer round about, and how that can be support and how we can support that as well. So these are on our website as well, but I'm happy to send the slides through to make sure that you've got this as well. And a wee bit more about what we've done through the kind of COVID situation. So as you all know, a lot of throughout Scotland, there's not been a lot happening with sport because of COVID and venues being shut and the kind of social distance side of things. So we set up programs throughout the whole kind of time we've been in lockdown. So we've had our branch communications, so we've been doing regular updates with the branches to give them an idea of what's going on. The Young Start programme, so we have a young sports panel. So that's people who do have a disability who are, I think, 16 all the way up to kind of 24, are given the opportunity to be part of a young sports panel, and they work with the branches, they work with SDS regional managers to get involved and be part of meetings, set up and be part of programs and projects, link in with clubs that are real focus and interest in them. So we do have that, and we have young people coming through and being part of the setup, and hopefully after that they would gain maybe jobs or coaching opportunities as well. Boccia Bonanza lockdown, so we've had a lockdown league where we put on different kind of challenges and tasks throughout, and we try and get more people linked in with the boccia and promoting boccia as well, to show it's a fun sport. Anyone can play it, no matter what your ability is, mainstream or part of disability sport. You can be part of boccia and you can be involved in boccia as well. We've had our virtual pentathlon, which was really, really successful. We had lots of people signing up to that and really kind of taking part. Our Tuesday night live, so it's a 45-minute of athletes. We've had Martin Perry on, Robin Love has been on that as well, so Derek Ray. So we've had Paralympians on this, we've had world champions on it. So these are, again, we want to just show that anyone who does have some impairment, we want to show them that they can do it, and they can have their own journey type idea and kind of bring through the next kind of generation. And again, people are asking them questions about how they kind of maybe found their journey, or maybe if they've got any other kind of burning questions that they want to ask. We've refreshed our website, challenged a Paralympian as well, giving those kind of, again, that link in to show where we want to give it an opportunity for everyone to be part of. Give it a go. We've had our inclusion cards, which is still in our resources, and it's so our Give It a Go challenge. We've had our inclusion cards, which is part of our DIT, and they're free on our website for resources. So you can go to resources and have a look at what we've got on. We've also got our online DIT, and I think we've had maybe over 500 participants been on that, which has been great. And that's linked from young sports leaders all the way through to clubs and other kind of local authorities and other sport and governing bodies as well. Regional athlete support, online coaching workshops, and our virtual parasport day. And the big thing that we're doing now is our Be Active, Be Well. So no matter if you're whatever kind of ability that you've got, you're more than welcome to be part of our Be Well, Be Active, Be Well programme. And that is going on for another term. So more than happy for you to share all this to your colleagues, and if you want to join on and see what it's like as well, you're more than welcome to as well. We do yoga, we do different other sessions that are maybe kind of more social side of things as well. So that's on our events page as well. You're more than welcome to have a look, and I'm happy to send our link for our website. This is the map of everyone who's a SDS regional manager. So we've got myself in the west alongside my colleague Lynn Allison and Jamie Arthur, and also Cheryl, who's also part of Forth Valley. We've got Lynn Glen, who's the West Islands, and we've got in the Highlands Kirsty Allison over in Grampian, Graham Doig in Tayside, and we've got Fife, which is Richard Brickley, and Neil down in the east side as well. So this is the RDMs. So you're more welcome to take a photo of this, or again, we'll be sending this, happy to send the slides out. And here is our branch network as well. So as you can see, we've got a good representation of branches throughout the whole of Scotland, and we're continuing to work closely with partners to make sure that we've got a 100% coverage of branches throughout Scotland. So yeah, more than happy for you to, again, take a photo if you like, or you can see the slides later on. But these are all the contact details that we've got. And yeah, so that's me, and I will pass you on to Nancy.
Come off mute. Hiya, good morning. I'm Nancy Peters. I'm the coordinator for Glasgow Disability Sport. I've been in position for nearly 2 years now. I've been in just about a year before COVID started. This post has made a big difference to Glasgow Disability because we can sort of reach out to more people now. Andrew, could you put the... Okay, I'm not going to say a lot about it because Andrew's really talked a lot about SDS, and we're a charitable body attached to SDS. Sorry, I've got my dog and he's been a real nuisance. He's been fine all day, and as soon as I talk, he's go down. We have a great working committee at the moment, and we had just got a 3-year development plan all sorted when COVID started. But these were sort of things that we're looking at. And this is a vision and mission on the screen. We're in collaboration with 7 local authorities, and as Andrew says, we work with various sport partners like Glasgow Life, Scottish Federation of Swimming Clubs, SOSW, and Active Schools, to name but a few. And I'll just let you scroll forward. Okay. We, as a branch, we have 15 club members at the moment who affiliate directly to the club. So we have 51 club sessions held each week in various different sports, and we're just trying to build that up. The benefits of being a club member, which at the moment is £20, we offer support to our clubs and events, and also competition support. So we'll go along and we do various things. We'll help muster at swimming galas, we'll do the commentary, we'll take the money, we'll do whatever. We have a yearly calendar of events helped through SDS. Glasgow Disability, we're in the process of running our own bowling competition, basketball and football. Unfortunately, they had to be put on hold, hopefully maybe this year. Through our membership, we offer help with PVGs. We'll do your PVGs if required. We'll help with policy and procedure guidance. We offer a free SDS training course, whether it's a disability inclusion, safeguarding. So these are, we'll give you information about funding. We put your club up on our website so that anybody interested in disability sport can go onto our website and find various clubs. Coach education, all these things that Andrew's already talked about, so I'm not going to sort of go on about it, but we're there, so if anybody has any questions or anybody's interested in looking for a club, they'll come in contact with us and we'll sort of pass them out, we'll signpost them onto the various different clubs we think they would be interested in. And really, I'm going to leave it there unless anybody's got any questions.
Thank you, Andrew and Nancy. That was a really great overview of Scottish disability sport and the support that you can offer. It's obviously a very big support network, and again, lots of great things happening. Boccia Bonanza, I quite like that. Sounds good. And I guess just in that first slide, Andrew, when you were just showing some of the stats, 7 in 10 people with disabilities want more access to sport and physical activity opportunities, and I think that is really important and quite clear that people do want to have these opportunities, and if clubs and organisations can continue to provide more of them, then that would be great. Just a quick question from me in terms of the para sport, is that for primary and secondary children, or just secondary or just primary?
It's for primary and secondary, so it'll be different in all the areas throughout the country where, well, for the West, for ourselves, because we are looking after 13 local authorities, with, in partnership with my colleague Lynn, we do P5 all the way up to S6. That's our one, but again, in Grampian, I think it might be like kind of potentially P3 or P2 all the way through up to S6. So
it can vary.
It can vary depending on what area you're in. We just felt like for our area, because of how many people are coming through in P5, it's a good age to get maybe kids involved, and they kind of maybe know a wee bit more of their interest as well. And again, some of the clubs as well, it may be suitable for them at that age to come through and be part of the kind of pathway through that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. And I guess Nancy just gave a sort of quick overview of Glasgow disability sport, and that's a flavour, I suppose, of how the other disability sport regions operate as well. If anybody from the different regions would like to get in touch with one of the particular regional branches from disability sport. So thank you very much for that. Conscious that it's almost 11:30, I've certainly found it an incredibly informative session. I've enjoyed listening to everyone and hearing about what's going on and opportunities that are available. We can certainly share, I think, contact details for all of the speakers if anybody did want to discuss anything directly. We've got a couple of minutes if anybody does have any burning questions right now. Again, we can share questions out with this session if that would be helpful, but does anybody have any questions right now? No. We'll certainly sometimes you need a bit of time to reflect, and I think today especially we've heard loads of information. So like I said, if anything springs to mind after this session and you do have any questions, then do feel free to get in touch. Oh, I see Sarah there's just made a wee comment on the chat. So Sarah's from Twist and Hit, who are a social enterprise who do cheerleading, and they have a para-cheer programme as well, which sounds very exciting. And
so yeah, I've spoken to Jude, and I've also been in contact with TAG, the advisory group as well. If you're not aware, cheerleading has now become an Olympic sport. So we've been trying to kind of fight our way into sort of sport recognition, which is I've been doing for about 20 years now. So we work with all the way from little babies, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, all the way up to masters cheer, where everyone on that team is over 25. So we literally every age range we have our own gym facility in Paisley, and we are the only programme in Scotland who are trying to introduce para-cheer. At the moment, for probably over the last 2 to 3 years, the most we've managed to get is we've had a couple of free workshops where coaches have came in and the odd person has came in, and we've gone along to our local Renfrewshire para sports days, and we've had our own little station within, say it's like a sports centre. We have our own little bit where we do para cheer, and the kids absolutely love it. And of course, due to Corona and cheerleading, if you know about cheerleading, especially in the US, you know, it's a very contact sport. You're here. So we're now in the situation where we can't even do anything. Everything is Zooming online, and it has been for months. But as I've spoken to Jude and spoken to the advisory group, you know, once we're out of all of this, we want to keep the ball rolling and get para-cheer off the ground, which I know take time, but I know it's important to come onto groups like this and say, hey, we're here, cheerleading's here, so that further down the line, you know, you will go, yes, maybe we spoke to Sarah once in a Zoom meeting, and I'll put my email on the group chat as well. So if anybody wants to send me an email and say, you know, what can we do? Or I've got people who might be interested in this once Corona lifts. And we're also on Facebook as well. So I'll put my Facebook link, because we're quite big on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll put my email as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, great to hear about what you guys are doing, and that sounds amazing. So I think that's 11:30. We should probably finish up there. Thank you heaps to our speakers for your time, for sharing all that information. I think even if it's not been directly applicable to your sport, there's definitely ideas that you can take from everything that's been said. And we'll share contact details, like I said. We'll potentially share the slides, and this session is being recorded, so it will be available after this meeting, hopefully for people to watch back. But just get in contact with any of us if you do have any questions following this session. And lovely to see you all, and I hope that you all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jude. See you all later.
Thanks very much. Enjoyed it very much.